Hi guys, Melissa here, TCT Crafts. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our exclusive YouTube community. I am so thankful to have each and every one of you in our group. I'm so excited that you guys chose to learn a little bit more from me. I'm just so excited about what's going to come in this next year. I do want to post a little reminder, or say a little reminder, that I did, per the request of one of our members, I started a Facebook page just for our group. So if you want to join that, the information is in a post in the member section. But you can go on over there, and I'll just do some announcements as far as when these tutorials are going to be coming. You can ask some Q&As, things like that. Of course, if you have your notification bell selected on YouTube, then you'll be notified every time we have a new video. But I just wanted to let you know that that is an available resource to you. That way, if you have questions, anything like that, you can talk with each other. So if you haven't already subscribed to the Facebook group page, I would encourage you to do so. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be doing a Mardi Gras wreath. So believe it or not, it's time to start making Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is in February. Now, if you're not from the South, or you don't sell to, your audience isn't in the South, and this might not be for you. But down here in the South, it is a big thing. And I sell lots of Mardi Gras usually every year. So, in a lot of times, people will give Mardi Gras wreaths or Mardi Gras decor as Christmas items as well. So, I want to make sure I have some in the shop now, so that if people are looking for Christmas gifts, they'll have something to choose from. So, we're going to start on some Mardi Gras. So, I am just taking a 24-inch artificial pine wreath base. These are my favorite to use. I use the artificial 98% of the time. Occasionally, I'll pull out a pre-made wire wreath form, but typically I'm going to go for the artificial pine. It's just a preference of mine. You can use whatever wreath form you want. If you like the twist tie kind versus the artificial pine, then you can definitely do the same thing. You're just going to do it a little bit different because you're going to be putting your mesh in those particular pines. So I'm just using a 24-inch. These are great to grab after Christmas, so they will go on sale. I stocked up on a ton of them, and I sell them in my shop, okay? Because sometimes after, if you miss that Christmas window, you're stuck. So I do sell them, but that doesn't mean I don't like a good deal. So after Christmas, I will hit up those sales, and I will stock up on as many of these as I can for my own personal use to kind of tide me over through the rest of the year. So I'm just going to take it, I'm going to give this a little bit of a bend. So I want a little bit more of an oval shape. So we're just going to kind of push this down a little bit. We're going to elongate it. This is another personal preference of mine. I don't do it on every wreath, but a lot of the wreaths I will sort of give it an oval shape. And I'm just going to kind of bend this wire up. Sometimes the wire will pop. And if it does, like this one did, we're just going to take a zip tie, and we're just going to zip tie it back. Not a big deal. So I'm going to take a zip tie, and I'm just going to zip tie it right back to that frame. When we get to the mesh part, I'll change the view so you guys can see how I put it in. But in case you are new, I wanted to leave you guys up this way. Gotta find my cutters. I misplaced those things, and you know what? I bet I left them downstairs. We'll just use scissors. I may have to pause the video and go down and see if I can find it. Anyway, I wanted to keep the view this way so you can see how I do my mesh in case you are new. If you know how I do my mesh, feel free to fast forward to the next part of the video. So I'm going to set this aside for a second. I'm going to use this 10-inch Mardi Gras mesh. It's kind of like got a little bit of some tinsel in it. It's really pretty. So how I cut my mesh, and man, I haven't used mesh in a while. When I do the Christmas designs, I typically don't use a lot of mesh because we love to see the pines, right? Well, now we're getting to where we're going to start hiding the pines again. So I'm going to use this mesh. So I just hold it up about to my chin. No, you know, just up. And then right around my belly button area, I just cut. I do not measure. If you wanted to measure them out, you definitely could. You could lay it on a mat, use your rotary cutter, and cut them. They're probably, if I was to guess, 22 to 24 inches. It just varies, honestly. Like I said, I don't measure. So we're just gonna hold these up and cut. And then after this is done, I'm gonna switch the camera view so you can see how I put it in the wreath. And I'll probably go look for my wire cutters because I have no idea what those, but we're gonna need those to cut some of our stems down. See, this piece was a little longer. I could tell I held that one up a little longer or a little taller. But that's okay. You're not going to notice. I put a lot of stuff in my wreaths. Personal preference again, and a lot of people do not like all the extras. They want to see a lot of the wreath, and if that is, you know, your style, then just don't put as much mesh. And you don't have to put as much embellishments either. I like a very full wreath with all the goodies. So mine's going to be, you know, a lot. So we've got just a little piece here, but we'll go ahead and save it. I save these tubes. These come in good for various different craft projects. Another tip is if you're going to ship your wreath and you have your wreath box, you can put these tubes in the corners of the boxes and tape it to the box, and that will keep the box from getting smashed when it's shipping. So that's just another tip. You can use these, put in your corners of your box, and then it can't get smashed. Hope that makes sense. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on that. So I've got my mesh cut. So now I'm going to pause. I'm going to fix the other overhead camera. I'm going to go find my clippers and we'll be back. Okay, we are back, and I'm going to start putting my mesh in our wreath. So I apologize. The sun is kind of creating this weird glare. I have some windows in here, which I love the natural light, but sometimes for recording, it's not the best. So there are 2 rings. So this is a 2 ring, meaning there is a section that goes, a ring that goes around the top and a ring that goes around the bottom. I'm going to start on the bottom, okay? And I'm just going to take and I'm going to do this on my chest. And I guess I probably should have kept the other view. Let me switch. Okay, so I'm going to hold it up to my chest like this. I'm going to roll it in and scrunch it together. We'll do 1 or 2 of it this way, and I'll move you back down. Then I'm just going to twist it in this tie. Okay, I'm only using 1 roll of mesh, so I'm going to skip a little bit. Okay, it's okay if a little bit of the pine still shows. Mardi Gras is still in February, which is a winter month, so I'm not too worried about hiding it all. Okay, let's do 1 more and then I'll move you back down. Hold it up to my chest. I twist these ends in, and the reason I'm doing that is to keep the fray down. Mesh will fray, and then I just scrunch it together. So let me skip a few and just push it. I push it all the way down to that wire and then twist it really tight. Okay, move you back down. Okay, so now you can see it from this way when I am putting it in my wreath base. Again, I'm just rolling, and if you wanted to do this on the table, if you don't want to hold it up, just twist your end, scrunch, twist your end, and you can do it that way too. Okay, I don't do it that way, but that is another option. Okay, so I'm just skipping a few sections of pine because I'm only using 1 roll of mesh. If you wanted to use another roll of mesh and cover more of the pine, you definitely could. I'm going to push this in there, pushing it in there all the way to that wire, and then twisting it tight. That way it's not going to come out. Okay, I'm going to skip a few.
Let's grab another, and we can always come back and fill in a little bit more after we finish if we have extra mesh, but I'm almost certain we are not going to have extra mesh just because I'm only using the one roll. Okay, we're going to skip a few. Finding 2 ties from the bottom. And pushing it in there. Let's get that one a little bit more centered. Okay, I'm going to skip a few. So we're just going to do this all the way around, and then we'll go up to our top section. We'll add a few in there. We're going to have, you know, our bow. We're going to have a little Jester in this wreath. We're going to have some Mardi Gras poinsettia flowers. So there's going to be lots of things that's going to add extra coverage. That's why I wasn't worried about having 2 rolls of mesh. So we're going to have lots of other things in this design. Almost done with the bottom. Okay, let's get our top, and then if we want, we can fill in. So now I'm going around the top ring. And I'll kind of go in between the areas that we didn't, where we kind of skipped. So like right here we skipped, so I'll put them in there. And that'll help cover up that area where we skipped on the bottom. And I don't worry about like putting them in any particular direction. If you're making a wreath that's just basically a mesh wreath, it's a little bit more important to have them kind of going the same general direction. But with mine, in this one, it's not really, the mesh is there more for filler than anything. So the focal point is not going to be on my mesh. So I don't care if I'm going this way, if I'm going this way, like I don't really care how I'm putting it in. It's not going to really be seen. It's more for filler. But again, if you're doing a wreath where it's primarily mesh with maybe just some ribbon tails, you might want to be a little bit more conscious of how you put your mesh in. Putting it all the way to that ring and twisting it tight. Let's go right here. This is a spot where we skipped, and we've got just 2 pieces left. Fine. Let's see, we'll put it right here. And this was that tiny piece that we had. So it's a little smaller than the other ones, but that's okay. Okay, so now we have our base with our mesh. And now let me I'm going to go through my thought process on, let's try to see how we want to lay this wreath out. So I know that I want to add this little Jester. Isn't he just the cutest? These are new to our shop. Actually, they will be listed tomorrow on the website, and I only have a limited amount of them. So if you want one, you guys are getting kind of the first sneak peek of these guys. So if you want one, I would grab them, because I don't have too many of them, and they come in 2 different colors. We got it has a purple jacket, and then there's one with a gold. So I'm going to cut, this is like you could hang this, but we're not going to hang it, so I'm just going to cut this off. Okay, so I know I want this guy in here, so I'm just going to kind of position I want a big bow, so I'm thinking maybe bow here with some tails. I've got these really pretty poinsettia flowers that are Mardi Gras. So we can do like, so we'll have our bow, flower, maybe another flower here. So 1, 2, 3, and a bow. So I think that's going to be my layout. So let's go ahead and get this guy in here. Since we know I kind of like the placement on here. And these do, his little feet and stuff do move. So I am going to glue his little hiney right here. And then we'll probably take a little floral wire and run it behind his arm so that he can make sure he's nice in there. And we'll glue the back of his head too. You guys can see that. Okay, so I'm just going to put some glue on his little hiney there. And then let's put some glue on the back of his head. Okay. And now let's get a little piece of, you could do it in 2 ways. You could just take one of these pine branches and kind of twist it around him. So that's an option. I think I'm going to see if I got a floral wire in here. I wish I had a clear one, but that's a little less obnoxious than the pine going around him. So let's see, maybe we can kind of hide it up under his little collar here. So I'm going to wrap that floral wire around. And then let's find one of these branches and just tie it in. So that's just another way we can secure him, and we can put a little glue on this little collar. Okay, so let's put a little glue on the collar just to kind of help hold that down. We can actually do it on now. I'm going to add some glue just kind of around him. Maybe right here behind his leg, to that pine there. Add a little bit more back here on his hat. Okay. So we'll let him dry. Oh, I messed with the thing. Let's push this collar back down. And just put that on there just to hold it. And let's make our bow. Now I only brought one ribbon. We're just going to use one today. This is a little bit more expensive of a ribbon. It's a tinsel Mardi Gras ribbon. Because it is a little bit pricier, it's double-sided, as you can see, with the green and the purple on the back. It's really pretty. We're just going to use one. So let me get my bow maker. You can do it by hand if you want. And I'm thinking maybe like a short tail and then a long tail. So let's do this tail a little shorter. So I'm just putting in my bow maker and twisting. And let's make this about, let's make it big. So let's do about 8 inches. And then twist. Go 8 inches and twist. go 8 again and twist. Okay, and then so we'll twist again. Let's do like a small loop in the middle here. A smaller loop in the middle. So let's go out to about 6 inches. Okay, so that'll be our nice big bow. I'm not going to cut the tail on that just yet, so we can get it placed in our wreath and see where we want to cut our tails. So I'm going to get a zip tie and a pipe cleaner. And let's see, I got a white pipe cleaner. I wish I had a purple or a gold or something, but I only have a few pipe cleaners up here at the house. We'll use what we have. Okay, so I'm just going to flip this over, run my pipe cleaner through the back of here, and tighten it, but not all the way, just so I can fluff these out like I want them. And then now I'll pull it really tight. And I've lost my, oh, they're on him. We'll just trim this off in the back. And we're done with our bow maker. If you guys can do hand bows, I applaud you. I'm getting better, but I still am not the best at it. So I'm thinking our little bow will go right here. So I'm going to run the pipe cleaner through, find that wire, and I'm just twisting it around the wire there. This ribbon is gorgeous. I love it. Okay. So now let's see how we want our tails. So I don't really want to cover him up, so maybe we just do a short tail and then we can add. So I was originally thinking doing kind of like a long tail, but I really don't want to cover him because I want him to be seen. So maybe we just do a shorter tail here. So I'm going to cut it a little long because remember it's double-sided. So I can just fold this up and we can see that pretty side over there. Cut this just a little bit and I'll fold these up as well. Okay, now we have our nice big pretty bow. And let's add a few tails around. So I don't measure my tails, I just kind of see about how long I want it to kind of come out from the wreath and just pinch it. Okay, and let's find a tie. And I'm just going to push it down to that wire, twist, and then I'm going to leave it a little bit long and cut. Now I want it a little bit long because we still have picks and sprays to add to this. And you know, sometimes I will put the picks and sprays in first just so I can make sure that our ribbon's not getting lost, but we'll just go ahead and do it this. Okay, so I've got a tail here. We have our nice big bow here, so I don't think we need tails there. Let's do one right here. gonna leave it a little bit long. We can always trim them down later once we get it hung if it looks like it's still too long, but I'd rather have them a little long than too short. Okay, we'll skip a little bit. Again, I'm just kind of pinching. Let's do one right up in here. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, so we've got all our ribbon in. Try to get this camera so you guys can see it all in the frame. So we've got a good probably half a roll left we can use for another project. And I think it looks pretty just with that one ribbon. I didn't think we needed to add, because this ribbon is so spectacular, I didn't think we needed to add any other ribbon, but if you wanted to add like maybe a 1.5, you could do like a purple or a green and add that in there if you so choose to do so. Let me see if I can raise the camera up just a hair. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Looks like you guys need to be right about here, right at the end of my table. Okay, now let's add our beautiful Mardi Gras poinsettia flowers. So these are Regency flowers. Again, this is going to be a slightly higher price point just because some of the elements we have in here. That's kind of typically the designs I do are a little bit more extravagant. It's just my style, but you can scale them down. You can use different elements that are maybe a little bit more cost effective, whatever you choose to do. So I'm just going to kind of fan these out. These are so pretty. Okay, and I know we're going to do one, we talked about doing one right in here. So I'm going to take and twist I'm going to take and twist this pine branch right around here, right around that stem. We're going to add some glue to it as well, but I'm just going to try to get this to wrap around nice and tight. So I'm just taking 2 of those pine ties and just twisting it right around that flower. Okay, so now let's add our glue. I've got that twisted nicely in there. I'm gonna add lots of glue. I'm very generous with my glue. Very pretty. Okay, now we're gonna do one here and one up here. So let's get another one. Should have taken this tag off before. Sometimes these things are little boogers. They do not want to come off. Okay, I'll just cut it like right about there. Okay, let's do the same thing. I'm going to take 2. I'm going to wait and fluff it once I get it in here. So I'm going to take 2 pine ties and twist it nice and tight right around that stem. Twist, twist, twisting it nice and tight. Okay, now I'm going to get my glue and glue that in. And now we'll fan it out. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, so we've got 2 of our flowers. We're going to add our 3rd one right up here. I'm going to do the same thing. Cut it. I'm going to kind of give this a bend a little bit. I'm going to twist these ties right around here nice and tight. Add my glue. Okay, and then we'll fan these out. Do purple. I would have liked this to be a little bit higher. The only problem with that is if I would have raised this flower up a little higher, these petals would have covered his little face. We don't want that. We want his face to be seen. So we will, there's a little piece of his hand. We may have to glue. Maybe we can position it like right there. Okay, I'm going to glue that down so his hand's not flopping. Okay. So this is super pretty. You could stop right here and it is gorgeous. But we're going to add some sprays around it. This we may end up trimming, but we'll leave it for now. Okay, so let's add some ornaments and some picks and sprays. So I brought in this Mardi Gras ornament fall spray we had. I think we still have these in stock. And I'm just going to, I'm not going to keep it, you could keep it like together, but I'm going to cut them and just place them kind of around where I want them. Okay, so we're just going to start placing some of these in here. So I'm going to place that one right behind. I'm just dipping it in my glue pot and I'm just going to place it right there behind that little flower. We get, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get 6 out of this. So we'll kind of space it. Maybe we can do one up there in the bow. I kind of like that. Okay, so I'm just going to dip it in my glue pot. And I'm going to slide it right down in that. And that helps cover up our little zip tie too. Okay, so we've got one right there, one here. I want to make sure we have enough to go around. So let's do a gold one here. Before we add some of our other ornaments, we'll add our sprays first. And then we can go in and fill in with the rest of the ornaments. So let's do one right in there. So no rhyme or reason on where I'm placing these. I'm just kind of spacing them out, finding little holes and tucking them in. Let's do one maybe right up underneath there. Making sure that glue hits that pine. Okay, now we've got one more. Let's place it down here by his feet. There we go. Pretty. Again, you can stop at any point. We're going to keep going. Now I brought in these Mardi Gras sprays we only have a few left in stock. So again, if you want them, grab them. I'll put a supply list on the video. But I am going to take and cut these up. So we're going to get a gold, a purple, and a green out of it. You can actually cut these in half again, like you could just do half of the stem, but I think I'm going to keep them long. So let's space these out. I'm going to use at least 2. This is just a partial I have left from another project, so we'll work it in here. So let me just cut it. And I won't charge the customer for that little piece. Just an extra. Okay, so we'll start with 2 for sure, because I do have another gold spray if we still want to add more. These ones are a little bit, like I said, they're a little bit bigger leaves, but I think that'll give us some pop. Okay. So let's start with this gold one here. And let's go, I'm going to go sort of, I want to tuck it in. It's going to come out a little bit. So I want to tuck it in a pretty good amount. So you can also take some of these little leaves off and you'll have a little stem. And that's what we're going to add our glue onto. So let's push that up in there. We've got our coming out right there. Perfect. Let's go around. Let's go with a purple. Now this one still has, you know, some of the stem on there, so we don't need to cut anything. So let me look how it's gonna be coming out of the wreath. So I'm gonna give this a little bit of a bend. Okay, and I'm going to push this right in there. You can take some of the green, the pine stems, and wrap around it again, just to kind of hold it in there. Okay, let's do now our green. Again, I'm going to take a couple of these little things off so I have a stem. Let's go maybe right up underneath the bow. Let me push this in probably about right there. Okay. Let's go in with the gold now. So I'm just alternating the colors. Now this one, I think I may want to push in a little bit further. Let me pull it out while the glue is hot. So I'm going to see if I can get it up in there a little bit further. I'm going to wrap this pine tie around it. I think I may fix that purple one too. I didn't like how it was hanging out quite so much. So I wrapped that pine tie around there. Let's fix this purple one. I want it to go in a little bit further. So I'm going to cut this down. And this is going to be the side of our, this is going to be the side. So let's take and twist 2 of these pine ties around here. Okay, now let's add our glue. Okay, I like that better. And we're still going to add some ornaments in here too, so that'll help. Okay, so now let's go in with the gold. Let's see. Right about here. Let's wrap some pine around here. And hit it with the glue. Let's do purple. Okay, I'm going to hit it with the glue. I wrapped a pine tie around it. Okay, let's go in with our green. Actually, no, because I was following my pattern and I was going to go green, but I don't want 2 golds to be right next to each other. So let's do gold and then green, just so we don't have 2 of the same colors right next to each other. So this one I want to go a little further down. So I'm going to dip it in my glue. I'm going to push it in there and then I'll wrap the tie around it. That one's going to be more towards the bottom a little bit. Add some glue in here. Okay, so let's add our last pick on here, and I'm going to put it right up underneath this flower. Again, I'm going to twist my tie, and then we'll add glue. Okay, now let's go in with our ornaments. And we may or may not add some of the gold picks. We'll see what we have going. So I have these purple ornament balls. Just picked these up from Hobby Lobby. So these are good to get after Christmas when they go on sale. Stock up on all the different colors because you can use them throughout the different seasons. So let's just pull out a few of these purple ornaments. And let's find our places we want to tuck these in. Hopefully it doesn't roll off the table. Okay, so I see a spot. We're just going to start filling in some of our holes and hiding some of our mechanics. Let me get another glue stick. So we have a hole right here underneath. Right here underneath the bow. We're just going to place one of those ornaments there. I only brought 6, so we'll space them out. There we go. So, and they're just different. So we've got some that are glossy, some that are glittered. So let's place one right on this side of the bow. So again, we're just filling in some of our holes. Okay. let's add one right. Let's do this one. Kind of right up here to hide a little bit of where we tied that spray in to the pine. Push it right in there. Let's do one right here, right underneath where we tied in that ribbon tail. Lots and lots of glue. You can also take the floral wire or pine branches and you can tie the ornaments in if you prefer to have it tied in. Okay, let's see, we've got two more. Have one there. Okay, let's tuck in one there by his leg. Okay, and let's do one right here underneath those ribbon tails. Now Mardi Gras is all about the bling, lots of bling, lots of bling, lots of bling. So all the things. So the more the better. So I think we're going to go ahead and add a few of our little gold sprays just to give it a little bit more, and then we're done. This one's got a lot in it. So I've got some of these gold sprays. We're just going to pick off a few of these and just add them here and there, and then we'll call this a day. You can stop here though. It's very pretty as it is. You don't have to keep adding the extra if you don't want to. But I think we'll add just a few of these pops in here of the gold. Break up a little bit more of the purple. And then we will be done. Okay, let's start with just the one. And again, we can pull off a couple of the leaves to give us a little bit of a stem to dip into our glue pot. And now I'm just going to start kind of filling in some of our holes where we still have a little bit of the pine. And again, I'm not worried about the pine showing on this one because Mardi Gras is in February, which is still in the winter, and we are still seeing pine branches. So I'm just going to go kind of tuck some of these in here. We've kind of got a hole right here, so let's put one down there. And that one's a little long, so I'm just going to cut one of those off of there. Let's do one. I'm going more around the bottom. Back here where we've got some of the greens. This one's not cooperating. There we go. Okay, I have to kind of find a spot. Making sure that glue is hitting those pines so it doesn't come off. Add one right there. So I'm just going around the bottom. And I think we probably will use more than one, just because we only have a few pieces left. Or at least 1.5. There. Yeah, let's cut up at least a couple pieces from another. So we'll probably use at least 1.5, if not all of it. We'll just cut up a couple though, and then if we need more, we can add more. Then you can save that for another project. Okay, we're almost back to where we started. I'm gonna add one right up underneath the flower here. Okay, let's add one right down here underneath the ornament. Okay, so I think we're good. I will hang it up. If there's any spots that look like we need a little bit more once it's hung up, we'll add it. But I think it turned out beautiful. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, bye guys.